Is your Facebook ads cost per click way too high and you want to understand or know how to decrease it? Well, this video is not about that. This video is about why you shouldn't care about your Facebook ad CPC at all. So without any further ado, let's hop straight into it. Hey everybody, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video here on my channel. My name is Victor and this channel is all about e-commerce growth and how to grow your e-commerce brand profitably to the next level and for it to be around for the next couple of years. So with that being said, in today's video, I wanted to talk about Facebook cost per click because this is something that I see a lot of brands really kind of obsess about, meaning how much they're paying to get a click through their Facebook ads, which, don't get me wrong, is definitely an important metric to track, but taking it as a KPI is not necessarily the most, kind of intelligent or the best way to manage your Facebook ads. And I'll use this video to explain that and really for you to understand what you rather should focus on than, focusing on your cost per click. A quick disclaimer before we hop into that: this does not really, this does not really entail brands that have a super low average order value. If you have a average order value of below $20, maybe even below $30, you do have to really take care of, okay, how much am I spending to get a click? Because there is a certain point where, when you're spending $3 to get a click, you can, you spend like, kind of $300 to get 100 clicks. So even with a 10% conversion rate on this traffic, you will not really be profitable, right? But for the majority of the brands out there that do have a product that is over $30, and in my opinion also, that is a different topic, but in my opinion, if you have an average order value that is consistently lower than $20, it is, might even not be the best idea or the greatest idea to advertise on Facebook nowadays anymore. But that is a different discussion. Let's stay with Facebook ads, cost per click, and why you shouldn't care about them. Facebook cost per click. Before we talk about why you shouldn't care about it, let's kind of really talk about what it actually means or what this Facebook cost per click metric actually consists of, because it is similar or same as, our cost per purchase, an output metric of different inputs. Our cost per purchase is an output metric of our CPM, our click-through rate, as well as our conversion rate. Our cost per click is an output metric of our two different input metrics, which is our CPM, cost per mil, the cost that we spend, that we pay to advertise to 1,000 people, and how many of those people actually click through, on our ads. And this is then ultimately the price that we are paying to get one click. So with that being said, one of those input metrics is our click-through rate. Our click-through rate is probably the most accurate or most important metric in our ad account when it comes to creative performance, because it is a direct indicator of our creative's ability to drive interest and actually make the customer want to know more about our product and our brand, right? And CTR therefore is a super or the best indicator for our within our account for our creative performance. So that is the first input, right? That first input that then ultimately, affects our cost per click. The second input, which is our CPM, kind of depends on a lot of different variables that we cannot necessarily directly influence. Facebook is really transparent about the way they put together their cost per mil, their CPM, which is advertiser bid times estimated action rate, plus relevance and quality of the particular ad, creative or brand. However, the CPM or how the auction at Facebook generally, or Facebook's ad network, ad auction works in particular, is slightly important, but not necessarily the most important. The most important is, kind of understanding the connection between CPM and the amount of advertisers that are trying to bid for this particular target audience. Okay? Because this is the first thing to understand. So what do I mean with that? So Facebook's ad auction is due to the fact that it is an auction, it is governed by the most simple supply and demand laws, meaning for Facebook now, or for Facebook's ads auction, the more advertisers are trying to bid for one particular target audience, or let's actually put it into an exact example, right? The more advertisers are trying to bid for my limited ad space on my timeline of Victor Adolph, the more advertisers are trying to bid for this, for whatever reason, the higher the price for this advertiser will be, So the more advertisers are trying to bid at a certain time for a target audience, the higher this price will be. Let's take two examples to better visualize this particular phenomena if you are not too aware of, general supply and demand and how an auction in that sense works. Okay? If you, for example, want super, super low CPCs, a really easy fix for that is just change your targeting settings from the US or Canada or Europe, whatever you've selected there, and just change it to Pakistan or just change it to India or whatever. I'm betting you all the money that I have, your CPC will go really, really down, And the reason for that is because there are not so many advertisers actually trying to bid for this particular target audience. The reason being is because, there are generally a lot of people in those areas, like in Pakistan and India. A lot of users are actually from Facebook in those areas. But on the other hand, they have less purchasing power, and therefore less advertisers do actually think that it's viable to try to advertise in those areas, and also less digitally advanced companies are, as at this moment, active and operating in those areas, meaning there are less advertisers overall for the amount of people that are able to advertise to, meaning your CPM will be drastically lower. It will probably be just, $1 or $2 to advertise to people in India. But on the other hand, your CPM in the United States to advertise to people that have puppies or dogs, that are dog owners, right, will be significantly higher, because there's a bigger amount of advertisers or companies that think that it's viable, or that have evaluated that it's viable and profitable for them to advertise to those people at this cost. So, and there we come to the second example, right? The first example to get a super, super low CPC is, advertising to people in India. The second example is advertising to people in the US that have a dog throughout Black Friday, Cyber Monday for your, dog supply brand or pet supply brand, right? Your CPM will be super high there, and therefore your CPC, your cost per click, will also be really high during this time frame, because there are more advertisers, more companies actively advertising than at any other time around this year, which is Black Friday, Cyber Monday, as well as it's in the United States, meaning there are more advertisers spending more money than, for example, in India. Okay, so those are, for example, the two examples where you can really see that, that CPC is kind of rather a secondary metric, right? Because it can be super much influenced, or it is not necessarily correlated to the quality of traffic that you're actually getting in, right? Like your CPC can be super much cut down by just simply advertising in India, and then this metric will be at your desired CPC, or the desired CPC that you want to go to, but the quality of this traffic goes also down, dramatically, drastically, and also the conversion rate of this traffic would probably go somewhere close to zero. Therefore, CPC is not actually a good indicator for the quality of the traffic that you're getting, as well as the traffic that you want to get through the door. Ultimately, CPC is a completely arbitrary metric that, can be influenced really, really easily, and does not really correlate with the quality of traffic that is actually behind this click. Having established that, it goes even a step beyond that, which is that I have personally established or identified a negative correlation between CPMs and cost per purchase, meaning the higher the CPM, usually the lower our cost per purchase. What do I mean with that? traditionally the highest CPMs that you will see globally, but especially in the United States, is in the last weekend of November, which is, Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. And traditionally, the majority of advertisers, or the most companies, advertise throughout this time frame, and therefore, as we've talked, kind of like the ad auction really kind of falls into that natural supply and demand law. Therefore, the cost to advertise to people in that time will be the highest. So why should companies actually try to always advertise throughout this time frame to people? The reason because of this is that this is the time period where most people have the highest purchase intent. And that is something that I've actually noticed and recognized throughout also the different times of the year, that higher CPMs usually correlate with a higher purchase intent. Meaning the higher your CPMs, again, also taking it from a geolocation standpoint, if you want to have a low CPM, go to India. If you want to really have a high CPM, go to New York, New York City, Manhattan, in the United States, right? There you will have a significantly higher CPM, just also because the people have a higher purchasing intent, they have more purchasing power, and they're able to actually go ahead and convert with you as a loyal customer. So therefore, often it is actually the contrary. You don't necessarily, obviously you still want to have a reasonable and viable cost of traffic. I'm not saying that you should aim for a high cost of traffic, but often the higher CPCs and the highest CPMs that we've ever had, or that I've ever measured throughout any type of client account, was throughout Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but there was also throughout this period the lowest cost per purchase and the highest ROAS. Meaning those two examples are, or those two scenarios completely kind of, showcase that CPC is an arbitrary metric and actually a wrong metric to focus on within your ad account. And that if your CPC is way too high, then, this is not actually necessarily a problem that you should be focusing on. A problem that you should be focusing on is if you have a high CPC that is caused by a low CTR. Meaning if your high CPC is caused by a super high CPM, it is not necessarily a problem if your AOV is not super low. Then it's still a problem. If your AOV is super low and your CPM is super high, then you will inevitably run into issues because you will not get enough traffic in order for them to convert into for your low ticket offer. But if you have a mid to high ticket offer, then having a high CPC caused by a high CPM is not necessarily something that you have to worry about. Something that you have to worry about a lot more is having a low CTR, because this actually is something that you have in your hands and that you can directly influence by creating new ads, creating new angles, messaging new different USPs, and crafting different copy. So therefore, having a low CPC is, caused by a low click-through rate is actually a problem. But the problem that you need to solve is not your low cost per click, but the low click-through rate, right? And you need to focus on that and then kind of go ahead, put your head down and start working. So with that being said, this is just a quick myth that I wanted to talk about. I've seen so many brands obsess over their cost per click, although it is just not necessarily a really important metric to track, and especially not an important metric to set as a KPI in your ad account and to optimize for. And therefore, I hope now once and for all, we have talked about that and we can put that away. So without any further ado, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope it kind of opened some eyes here or there. If you want to know more about how to grow your e-commerce brand profitably, then feel free to check out the other videos that I have on my account. Hit the subscribe button if you want to be up to date with the most recent e-commerce trends and hacks that I implement here in my brand. And that's pretty much that. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your time and looking forward to seeing you around. See ya.